Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
What do you own, like 3 shirts? What?
No. 6.
No, well, double
3
it.
times 2.
Double what I thought. Right? Jeez.
I was told I wear my signature shirt is a red shirt. Well, the Phillies have red colors. The 49ers have red.
And Penn State has?
And Penn State does have blue and white. And I wear blue and
You
white.
would get thrown out of practice.
I would be thrown out of practice in a heartbeat. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
Those walls at the Penn State are not red.
Okay.
Because they would have got thrown out of practice.
Would be thrown out. And it would be by acclamation. All right?
Yep. That I know.
Yeah.
That's why I try not to even wear the red jacket I have to Beaver Stadium.
What's your red jacket? I think I've seen it, right?
Yeah, yep. I have a red one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I try hard not to.
You're a disaster. Unbelievable. Do you wake up every day knowing you're a disaster?
Usually. There's that rarity where it slips away, but then realization kicks in a few hours in.
Very, very nice. Yes. All right. So the NBA draft is tomorrow. It's interesting when you see how teams are built in the NBA. Yes, Oklahoma City got Chet Holmgren at 2nd overall. You pretty much knew he was going to be a darn good NBA player when he was drafted. Jalen Williams was a 12th overall pick. And you didn't know.
No.
And he turned out to be terrific. But so often, teams in this league, they do it by acquiring talent. I mean, who are the top draft choices like that Indiana had that are playing for them right now? Now, they took Sabonis and a couple of other guys and dealt them for Halliburton.
Right.
Okay, so that part was done.
They drafted Turner, right? 11th over. They drafted Turner, top the lottery pick.
Right.
I think.
But it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was 2015.
It was a long time ago. I mean, he's the longest tenured player on the team. But, I mean, see, that's my point. My point is every time you turn around, yes, the Celtics drafted Brown and Tatum, but they acquired everybody else. Porzingis, Holiday, whom they dealt back to Portland last night. He was actually with Portland, I think, for about 48 hours when they traded.
Yeah, they traded him. Yeah, he was in
Brogdon.
Yep, a little trade.
They got White from San Antonio. I mean, yes, Pritchard's a guy they drafted. But, most teams are in the league. I mean, Brunson's not a draft pick.
No.
Right? Karl-Anthony Towns is not.
Yeah, that whole team's not.
I mean, the whole team's not. I mean, that's how, look at the Lakers. Right, except for the kid they drafted first out of Tennessee, Dalton Connect.
Yeah. Who they almost moved anyway.
No, they tried to trade him.
Yeah.
Tried to deal him. Trades are made in this league, and that's how teams, for the most part, are acquired.
Yeah. Yeah, the Thunder are that rarity because they took those picks that Paul George trade, and they were able to build a team with that. Obviously, you got that centerpiece in the trade. I don't know if even the Thunder expected Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to be the star he is. I think there's no question he was a star. I didn't think he was league MVP star. And that's where I think he got much better. And obviously, they didn't miss in the draft really hardly at all. I think Casey Wallace is a good pick, too. But they really have done an exceptional job with the draft, which is, you're right. I think that's in the minority because it's why these NBA executives get the credit they get. Even you just go by the analysts. You look what Bob Myers did in Golden State. Look what Jerry West did with multiple teams. That Mitch Kupchak did in L.A. Yeah. And as much as they hate him in Chicago, Jerry Krause did in Chicago.
Yeah.
This absolutely, executives earn their money in a big way in the NBA, a lot more than they do in the NFL because of that. You've got to spot talent a lot better.
I think everybody's looking around saying, okay, they're trying to guess on pieces and what pieces fit. And they're trying to do educated guesswork to do it. Because every time they turn around, they're unsettled.
Yeah.
And so the draft is tomorrow. We know Cooper Flagg will go first.
Absolutely. Harper probably number 2.
And Harper will probably be the second pick in the draft. What happens with Bailey, we'll see. Rutgers is having a big watch party. And with Bailey and Harper, essentially, this will be the first time Rutgers wins. I mean,
that is one of the.
How the heck do you have two of the top 3 picks in
that
the
is
draft
one of the great mysteries of all time. How you have that
barely be over 500?
Yeah.
How? How? You have 2 of the top 3 picks in the draft.
Right? Yeah.
Meanwhile, maybe
at least 2 of the top 10.
Maybe
no
2 of
question.
the top 7 picks.
Yep.
Cooper Flagg and Con Knippel.
Yep.
Duke.
Yeah, Con Knippel's a guy I think the Sixers are looking hard at. So
I'm saying, though.
Yep. Yeah.
Duke.
Yeah, Duke, who is in the Final Four. Yeah, and should have gotten to the championship game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Duke.
Yeah.
Rutgers. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
and you know the thing about
baffling.
Rutgers? Rutgers is their finances are so bad.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know what this $20.5 million plus additional scholarships, which could end up being $25 million, with a 4% escalator to 21.3 next year. I don't know how they're going to handle it, because they've been borrowing against their Big Ten distribution to the point where they were finally going to start in 2027 breaking even and now starting to make some money, until this came up. They don't have a stadium that can generate revenue.
No.
Right? It's 50,000 seats. That's not the issue.
No.
The issue is there's no luxury suites.
Yeah, you're not really getting exactly.
So you can't really generate additional revenue there. They sell out every game at the Rack, except that's 8,000.
I was going to say, it's a small venue, yeah.
Right? And again, same story. There are no luxury suites in
right.
it. So I don't know where they're getting cash.
Yeah.
No clue.
No. Nope. Not at all.
And they're an interesting spot. I mean, they're in the Big Ten because they're in New Jersey, near New York.
Sure.
They're not in New Jersey, near New York. They're not in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, people don't like that comment. Top.
No, that's
tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
They are the definition of real estate: location, 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 location,
sure.
And that's where they are.
Yeah.
I finally, by the way, got the numbers. And again, I want to point out, I am not putting the sport down at all. I'm trying to explain to everybody how difficult it is to make money in college sports unless you have mega media deals. Okay? That's what I'm trying to point out. All right? This is not, repeat, not about putting a sport down. I finally saw the Iowa, like the actual plus minus numbers.
With Clark.
With Clark. This is a year ago, so fiscal year 2024, okay? June up to June 30th, 2024, so a year ago. Okay? I told you they'd lost money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's impossible. They sell out. Oh, jeez. Okay.
So it's wrestling.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they don't lose money.
Right. How much money do you think they lost?
Oh, it's in the millions.
It is millions.
Yeah, they've absolutely.
How much do you think they lost?
Probably about $3 million.
A little bit higher.
4.5.
3.6.
3.6.
Now, this is selling out every game. Selling out every game. Being rock stars on the road.
Yeah.
Doing a great job of Big Ten tournament attendance, really for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have an outdoor game that sells out.
Outdoor game, but that was expensive to put on.
Yeah.
That was expensive. Yep. And by the way, I want to point out that the money went to charity, didn't went to the children's hospital.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to be fair so everybody knows. It's like, hey, they didn't do it for profit. They did it for charity. And the but what don't they have? I mean, they have a radio station that carries their games. And Rob Brooks does a great job. We had Rob on last year. They have a radio station that carries their games, so they're not on a network.
No.
Oh yeah, but I saw them on Fox. No, that's not
matter.
what Fox.
No.
Okay,
they were on Peacock too. That doesn't mean they have a mega deal.
It just means that they were on the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
In other words, it just means they were on TV.
Yeah, they had the option to be picked up.
The deal is for football and basketball. That's what the deal is for. If there happens to be something else, so be it. Okay? And that's what it's about. When you don't have those deals, and the NCAA tournament distribution doesn't help them much at all. Now, does it help a little more now? Yeah, a little bit more now because it's up to $65 million a year after being in the 20s before that. So they essentially tripled it, which is great until you put it up against what the men's tournament deal is, which is $1 billion. So it's $65 million. You're $935 million short. There was, when all the articles came out about the Iowa finances, that in the end I think they made $2.6 million as an athletic department. The articles, when it came to women's basketball, were talking about how their attendance, how they sold out. The men, I think only averaged like 9,000 a game. 9,000 a game, while the women were averaging 15. Right? And that's what all the articles were about. But they never mentioned the numbers, the finances. Never. Not one time. The reason I knew they lost money was there was an article in The Athletic that said there were only 2 non-football or men's basketball programs in the Big Ten that made money. Nebraska women's volleyball and Minnesota men's ice hockey. Well, when that came out, what did that tell you? Iowa women's basketball lost money. I just didn't know till yesterday how much. Yeah. Okay, here's the part that's screwy about it. And again, media deals, NCAA distributions. Everybody gets an NCAA distribution. Everybody does. You don't have to be in the tournament to get one. Right? Just like you don't have to be in a bowl game to get bowl money in the Big Ten.
Right.
Okay? All the stories made it seem like they were the financial driver in the wintertime instead of the men. I mean, because I sat down and read I read the Des Moines Register, I read the Cedar Rapids Gazette, things like. And then yesterday I looked at the numbers. They lost $3.6 million. Okay, right, it's fine. Okay, men's basketball made 2.4. What? That's not what the articles basically said. Basically said that the men's basketball team had warped into little brother.
Yeah.
No. I mean, now, who's selling out? The women are.
Sure.
Who's generating the excitement? The women are. The men are not generating excitement at the University of Iowa. Now, maybe we'll see what Ben McCollum does with them. But, and in terms of tickets and things like that, no. Not happening. But I'm saying that is the single best case scenario that Iowa women's basketball can have and probably will ever have.
Agreed.
I mean, because without her, they fell back last year.
Yeah.
Which everybody expected. That's, at least Bluter, the coach,
down.
left.
Yep.
She stepped down, which includes a buyout.
Yeah.
Okay. And she wasn't working for $1.95 an hour.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, part of it you knew.
But again, the point I make all the time, as long as Iowa turned a $2.6 million profit as an athletic department.
Yeah, as long as you're in the green there.
If you're in if you're in the black,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I don't care how much money they lose.
Agreed.
It's irrelevant. Like people talk about, wrestling sells out here. They can't believe wrestling loses money here and so forth. Blah 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 blah. Right. But I don't care as long as Penn State's in the black.
Yeah,
I could care less. Doesn't matter.
No.
I just want wrestling to win.
Sure.
I want wrestling to win, be successful, have the. How much is a wrestling ticket here?
Face value.
Yeah, face value.
Face value is probably. I know the Jordan Center tickets are more expensive, but I want to say Rec Hall, they're not too bad. They're usually $30 or less, or somewhere in that vicinity. Okay. Yeah, it's been a little while. I've since I've been to one as a fan, but it's
because what makes me laugh is that when the numbers come out, wrestling fans will say, "Well, I'll pay more for tickets." You don't understand. I don't care if they lose money, if the entire thing is making money. I don't care.
Sure.
Right? For goodness sakes.
Yeah. And it allows you the ability to do what schools do, where Iowa is a prime example.
As long as Cale has all the resources he needs to be the best, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I agree.
And it seems like he does. I don't think he has really a lot of complaints right now about where he is here and the alignment with Pat Kraft. I mean, the program is justifiably beloved. It is the single best program in the country. But the point I make about the Penn State Wrestlings and the Caitlin Clark Iowa basketballs of the world is it shows you the power of the media money. Mm-hmm. Right? That if you don't have it, and those two sports don't, right, it's hard to make money just off of ticket sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Just off of ticket sales. It's very difficult to make money. You'll let people say, well, when they're on TV, they should get a cut of the TV deal. It's like, oh, please, just, okay.
It doesn't work that way.
Number one, it doesn't
work that way.
Number one, it doesn't work that way. Number two, look at the commercials that are running.
Yeah.
Take a long look at the commercials that are running during a football game, a men's basketball game, versus the other sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
There's not as many of those Northwestern University has this, and this during the football games.
No.
And that takes nothing away from what those universities have. But my point is, paid advertisers are taking those spots in football games a lot more.
I'm Phil Steele for Flex Seal. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Right? Or was it Cliff Keen Athletic? I mean, who knows how much. I mean, that's like the only one I ever see for wrestling.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't see many for wrestling. You don't see many for basketball. You don't see many for hockey.
Yeah, women's basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, women's basketball.
Because men's basketball sold as a package.
Absolutely. Yeah, men's basketball is almost identical to football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, because that's what they're empowered
the TV deal.
to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the TV deal. But that just tells you in college sports how expensive it is. And keep in mind, this women's basketball number did not include extra travel to the West Coast because they weren't in the conference
They weren't in the conference yet.
Now, wrestling doesn't have to deal with this, right? Okay, because there are no West Coast teams.
No, but they still have those tournament travels.
Right. No, that's fine. Again, but there's been some rumblings about Maryland not keeping wrestling.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, there have been some rumblings about it.
Yep.
Right?
Stanford almost already lost it. There's so many national schools
the next 5 years.
Yeah.
If certain sports can make it through the next 5 years unscathed, then they'll be there for a long, long period of time. That means because people would have figured out the finances, how to make this whole thing work. In the next 5 years, let's see if anybody makes a move like Ohio State did with men's gymnastics and make them a club sport. Right? Let's see because wrestling wasn't the only sport Maryland was talking about.
Yeah. I think he clearly knew, too, when the Final Four numbers came out for women's basketball. Obviously, the ratings were through the roof. Financially, what they lost, though, in women's basketball, and then financially what they lost in the WNBA, you had a good feeling that Iowa basketball lost quite a bit. And once you saw the numbers,
and again, I'm not trying to put this. By the way, this is the anniversary of Title IX today.
Yeah,
I am not in any way, shape, or form taking a shot at a sport. I mean, please.
No, it's just telling you the importance.
Any of you have that incredibly immature thought in your head.
No.
Okay, get rid of it.
Not the case.
Okay?
No,
I'm trying to explain the economics of how hard it is to make money when you've got the best player. Everybody wants to see her play, right? If she came to the Jordan Center last year, it would have been a huge crowd, right?
Yeah,
because people just want to see the show, and she's the show.
Absolutely.
Right? And you saw the ratings of the Final Four a year ago, and then how they were cut in half this year.
Yeah, big time.
Big drop in ratings. But when you have that, and then Penn State in wrestling is
same.
They define greatness.
Yeah, you could argue wrestling had its best national championship in a number of years this year.
Yeah, of all the long line of national champions, this may have been their best team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
And the whole wrestling as a sport expanded completely.
Yes.
And that. But still, absolutely. And that's a big reason why you are seeing these record numbers being thrown out when these conferences, Power 5, Power 2 more so than anything, are getting the TV deals they're getting. Because it is hard to make that money. It's hard to make that revenue back.
Yeah, it is. Very much so. It's just hard to make money in sports. I pretty much know through conversations what the average they need in Beaver Stadium is to make sure that they're above the line. Right? It's not a low number.
No, I was going to say, I'm sure it's not.
It's not a low number.
Probably pretty darn close to the amount of season ticket holders they have, which is...
It's close,
yeah.
It's close. That is something that... that's how hard it is to do this. You see they're launching Roar Plus.
Really?
Yep. It's going to start... I think in a month. Let's see. Let me look up Maryland wrestling here for a second. Maryland wrestling announces Big Ten opponents, reveal home and away, in conference matchups. Of course, they show a picture of Kale.
Of course.
Oh, giddy. There you go.
That tells you your wrestling program's not doing very well when it shows a picture of another team.
Yeah. That's an issue. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we are on the money front. It's just hard to do. And I know Don Staley said we need to negotiate a new TV deal. Don, you're in the first. You just ended the first year of
year or two of the deal. Yeah,
this is their first year of it.
Yeah,
you just ended it.
Yeah, yep.
No.
No, and that's, you look at.
And look, she's fighting for a sport.
Absolutely,
so
fighting for a sport.
I completely get it.
You have a national championship game this year that was incredible, but the ratings just unfortunately and the financials didn't show it. You have one of the great stories in women's basketball. I think Becker tears her ACL twice, comes back, wins a national championship, becomes the first overall pick in the draft, beats South Carolina, a team that dominated for a decade. So you had a great story. You just don't have everything else behind it. And number one, it tells you the power of Caitlin Clark, but more importantly, as you say, it tells you the power of a TV deal to get you money.
Yeah. And believe me, Fox carried Iowa women's basketball, four times last year?
Peacock carried her carried women's basketball for Clark quite a few times.
Yep. So
that was almost the blessing for Peacock, because that was where they really were. That was their first year, really, where they got into the basketball programming for college basketball for the Big Ten. So that was a blessing for them to have that. And they go, man, we could swoop in and do this. But no, it still didn't bring in the revenue.
Yeah. Nebraska has made an interesting hire for their play-by-play job. As you know, Greg Sharp passed away from pancreatic cancer. Greg was such a great guy. Jeez, what a great guy. They hired Kyle Crooks away from Florida.
From Florida. Okay, yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
He's been the broadcast coordinator the last 8 years.
I was going to say, he's been there almost a decade at least.
And their radio play-by-play guy for football, men's basketball, baseball, softball, soccer. And a lot of SEC network digital stuff, too. That's interesting. I mean, he's very talented.
Yeah,
he's
I agree.
Very, very good. I'm surprised to see somebody leave the SEC, with all due respect, and go to Nebraska.
Yeah. So, conference-wise, you're not making a terrible lateral move. I mean, you're going to the Big Ten, but I agree with you. You go from Florida to Nebraska.
I just think that's. I mean, their credit made a great hire.
No doubt about it.
Now he'll just do football and baseball.
There. I would think so. Yeah, he's not.
No, Kent Pavelka's does basketball, and Kent's done it for. Geez, I would think Kent's maybe his 37th or 38th season doing basketball. Okay, who leads the majors in home runs?
I want to say I can't think of his name. The guy from Seattle, the Mariners.
The catcher, Cal Raleigh.
Raleigh, there you go. Yep.
Cal Raleigh leads in majors. It is not Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
He's hit 32 home runs already this year, which is just amazing. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because he plays for Seattle, nobody knows about it.
Nope.
He is on a pace. I think the most home runs at the All-Star break was 37.
Was it 37 or did Bonds have 37 or 39? It was Bonds.
Well, I think Mark McGwire had 37.
McGwire at 37? I want to say Bonds might have had 39 at the break. Judge also was in the 30s.
Yeah.
The year he hit 60.
But this kid who came up, remember he came up with a couple of big hits against Toronto in the playoff game a couple of years ago. You're like, hey, this guy's going to be pretty good. This guy is, like in the clutch, looks like he's a good player. But yeah, he is the major league home run leader right now with 32, and nobody knows who the heck he is.
Exactly. Prime example, me trying to think of who he was. I knew of him. I knew he had 32 homers. I just could not think of his name.
The bottom line is, you're usually very confused.
Yes, that's right.
It's like, ever since the Patches the Dog thing.
Well, he's got one of the most interesting nicknames, if any, in the history of sports. The Big Dumper.
Yeah, the Big Dumper, yeah.
But this guy, it's not as if, and you said it, nobody knows who he is, but it's not as if he came out of nowhere. He's won a Gold Glove. He's consistently been good. Seattle's that team where you feel like you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for them to turn the corner every year. When are they going to do it? It's that they're one of those teams. You were that way with the Angels for many years until you finally realized they weren't doing it. Right. And it feels that way with the Mariners. They have the talent, they have the young talent.
Yeah.
Can they turn that corner?
Yeah. So Raleigh set historic high marks for home runs before the All-Star break for a catcher and, in the vein of Mickey Mantle, a switch hitter.
Yeah.
About that. 32nd home run. He's on a pace to hit 67. If Aaron Judge were on this pace,
you'd be hearing it.
It would be over and over and over. And again, I think Aaron Judge is an awesome player, but and he has nothing to do with the publicity he gets.
No, and he wouldn't want it if you ask him.
Nothing to do with the publicity he gets. But ESPN is such a simplistic thought network that they've got to latch on to like 5 to 7 people, like because they think that drives ratings all the time. They just don't have confidence in sports to sell sports.
Yeah.
And Cal Raleigh would be like to them, like, I don't know if should we do anything about him? No, I don't think so. But the guy's got 32 home runs. And he's just, it's not as if, look, anybody who knows baseball has known about this guy for 3 years.
Sure.
Okay. And everybody knows that, I think most people know who Julio Rodriguez is.
Oh, there's no doubt.
What a talent he is.
Incredible
for the Mariners.
talent.
But this guy is really, to his, again, he really, I thought, broke loose a couple of years ago in the playoffs. You're like, wow, this guy can play. Now you're seeing this, and it's just very impressive to see him do this. The problem that you have is that he plays in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but again, he plays in Seattle, where they have the talent that they're 3 games over 500.
Well, they have the talent. They may have the talent. The problem is they're in
also
Seattle.
In Pacific Northwest. Sure, okay? Absolutely.
They're in Seattle.
Yeah.
So their games aren't on when people are awake on the East Coast.
Nope.
Now, I realize they're playing in Minnesota right now, so they're in the Central Time Zone, but still.
I think they make a trip at some point to Philadelphia. I think it's in August.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm just probably just sick and tired of complaining about.
Well, no,
ESPN.
It's factual. Well, you had that spot where you had the Stanley Cups going on, you had the NBA Finals going on, you had every major event going on. They're talking about Dak Prescott. What the?
I know.
I agree with you. I agree with you entirely.
Dak Prescott. What's his legacy?
What does it? What does it matter right now?
What are we doing?
What does it matter in October?
What are we doing here?
Have that conversation September 3rd, even though it's a hot take that I'm not sure even Dallas cares about. When they play the Eagles September 4th. Not when there's championship games going on.
I just don't. Crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Crazy. When one of the headlines today is that they announced some comedian to be the MC of the ESPYs. Have you ever watched an ESPYs?
Many years ago, when they were relevant. It's been 15 years at least. Yeah. Nope.
What are we doing?
Yeah, you don't have the power behind it like you used to have. Obviously, Jim Valvano's speech, Stu Scott's speech, you don't have those moments anymore at the ESPYs.
No,
it's
just a show.
Exactly. It's a show that
it's just like
furthers your issues.
You have very few red carpet events now that people give a darn about.
You're right. Yeah.
It used to be a big deal, the red carpet at the Oscars.
Nobody cares.
Oscars ratings have tanked.
Grammys, same thing.
Grammys, I didn't even know they handed them out. I guess they do. Emmys.
Yep.
All these red carpet events have just all tanked. People have very little,
all right.
Their interest in it has waned so much. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just
right.
It wasn't great to begin with.
No, they were, when it first started, I thought the idea was good. I think the content was good. You had your biggest stars in the spots. You also had your biggest talent with emotional moments. You gave an Arthur Ashe Award out that was very emotional, and it's gotten to be a lot different these last, I'd say, at least decade.
Yeah. It's just, but that's what they concentrate on. That's one of the headlines. Okay, I mean, I understand you're trying to promote something.
Yeah, they're
like, come on.
It's
no offense. It's nothing.
No, and it's for many years, Vince McMahon took extreme criticism for calling pro wrestling sports entertainment. That's what ESPN is now at this point. It's not completely sports anymore. It's entertainment too. So the criticism, you're making a guy that deserved to be widely criticized through much of his career look like a genius at this point.
Yeah.
For what you've done with your content.
Right. I mean, if Metallica could do the same thing.
That's right. Despite their gaffes with Napster over the years. They got them a lot of not so good publicity.
Napster still exist?
I don't think so. No, I think Spotify is the big thing for people nowadays, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Napster. There was Rhapsody, I think, was another one. Yeah, that was years ago, back when people actually at least somewhat legally downloaded stuff.
Boy.
Well, I would say this, and that obviously, sure, there's bias to my statement, but had they not done it, somebody else would. There was no doubt.
You're right.
They're losing a lot of money on stuff.
Crazy. We are at the draft is coming up. We know flag will be first tomorrow. It's the two Rutgers guys. I mean, the Bailey one's fascinating because
I'm not sure he's going number 3 at this point. I think the Sixers have 3 targets. I think he's one of them, but
I just don't know what to say about what he's doing. Number one, I knew what they list him as 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah.
Right. I remember Dick and I were on the floor at Rutgers in December last year. Just walking from the media room back up to where that booth area is. And Rutgers is out warming up. I looked at Dick. I said, "He's not 6'11".
No.
What are you talking about?
No, he's not taller than Tracy McGrady, and McGrady was 6'9".
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not taller than McGrady. And McGrady had the length. Like Bailey does too, but McGrady
Bailey
just
has
had
length.
Yeah, Bailey's got the length, but McGrady absolutely has that range defensively. That if he would have gave a what for most of his career, I think he could have probably put the comparisons to Kobe Bryant even further.
Okay, so now you're sitting there, and it's finally confirmed. I mean, I thought maybe he was. I said, Dick, he must be like 6'8". I guess he's 6'7.5".
Yeah, that's about right.
And Dick and I were like, "What the heck are we talking about here?" Like, all right, but we never talked about it on the broadcast because we didn't know the exact number. We were just guesstimating.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And they kept going on about a guy this big who can I know how big Puff Johnson is.
Mm-hmm.
And when and Puff did play against him the first time
around,
out at Rutgers. He didn't play the second time when Penn State beat them. All right. So you start with that, and you're like, okay. So that wasn't a good start at the combine on the measurables. and now he doesn't want to be interviewed by anybody.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to work out for anybody.
Work out for anybody.
He doesn't want to do anything
Yeah.
for anybody. And I don't quite get.
No.
I mean, the Shedeur Sanders method of job interviews is not recommended.
Either is the Shedeur Sanders driving on the highway method.
That's two now. He's actually had two of them.
It's two. One where he clocked well over 100. For crying out loud. You've got to learn.
Yeah. I mean, I could see if you were.
Yeah, one
like
bad day.
Say, for example, there was a team meeting at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he's going 101. Bad,
but understandable.
But he's trying to make it there.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yep.
But at 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
I would like to point out.
The first time, wasn't he doing like 140?
Rarely anything good happens at 2 a.m.
No. Nothing happens very good at 2 a.m. And you've got to get that. Look, you got to get that under control. There's no question about it.
Get it under control.
Yeah, that's 2 speeding tickets that, they cut him a heck of a break on this second one. For crying out loud, I'm doing 101 on 99. I don't think I'm getting the break Shedeur Sanders got. But
I know how you think and how you operate. You would have been looking over at the officers at the time saying, I'm only going 2 miles an hour over the speed limit. It said 99. That's the route number. Okay. Wow.
But you look back, and he's not the only one. Look, the NFL, we lost one of the great talents of all time due to his excessive speeding on the highway, speeding in the snow, into a car accident, and Derek Thomas.
Yeah.
So that is absolutely something that's I get it. You got your Ferraris and you have your Porsches and 25 other cars most of the American public can't afford, but yeah, you've absolutely
101.
101, exactly. Yeah, we're not talking clocked at 85 and a 65. I understand that. Is it justifiable? No, but I understand it a little more than 101, and that's the low speed of the 2 tickets he got. He was well over 100 last time.
Yeah.
He's close to 150 for crying out loud. I don't even think my car goes to 150.
Your car? Your car? Your car?
I don't want to test it out either to find out.
It looks to me like your car has great pickup.
It might.
It might?
It might. Accelerates a lot better than my older car.
You hated that car.
I wasn't a fan a lot of days of it.
You complained about that car on this show so many times.
Well, that was probably when it was in the shop, but I came in, it was in the shop again, and I came in, it was in the shop for a trifecta.
Yeah. Interesting. Are the Pirates a better team now than they were a month ago when they made the managerial change? I mean, how are they drawing right now?
Exactly.
No, I'm asking. I don't know.
I can't imagine they are.
Because school's out. The big thing about Pittsburgh is they always talk about, well, when school's out and the weather gets warmer, well, you got everything you want now. I mean, are you drawing people? And obviously when Skeens pitches, you do.
Sure.
I mean, so.
Average attendance, so they say, according to numbers according to SI, is 17,120 per game.
This is tickets sold.
Yeah. Yep, that's according to, and that's down from last year because they averaged almost 20,000 last year.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so they're definitely down by a couple thousand.
But that's up a little bit since.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Since May. I think it was like 15,000. They got a couple thousand more per game. So let's just see that. I'm going to guess that puts them 26th.
It's got to be in the 20s. Yeah,
I think it's got to put them at 26.
I think they probably draw better than. I think they've got to draw better than the White Sox.
Oh,
they've got to draw better than the Rays, obviously. Oakland, clearly, or Las Vegas, Sacramento, whatever they're called nowadays.
And Tampa are going to be last.
Yeah,
and they are 26th. You act like I know nothing.
That's 20.
You act like
close.
I know nothing.
I was close. I said 20, so that would have been.
And they're not.
Bob Barker would have let me on.
And by the way, they're not close to 25. They're not close. They're 3,000 per game fewer than 25. So they're above the White Sox, who are averaging 16.6. They're above Miami, which is averaging only 11.8. Tampa Bay is playing in a minor league stadium, Steinbrenner Field, averaging 9,800. And the A's are playing in West Sacramento, and they're averaging 9,700. Wow. Who's number one? The Dodgers. The Dodgers have already drawn 2.2 million fans. They're averaging 50,645 a game. Very, very impressive.
Absolutely.
I mean, really impressive. The Pirates, conversely, have drawn 735,000, which is, for the Dodgers, a bad month.
I still remember years ago. Well, they're still getting there, but I still remember years ago when they get there in the fifth. Fans would get there in the fifth inning.
Yeah. By the way, Seattle. We talk about Cal Raleigh. They're actually 19th in attendance. They have about 1.1 million. They're averaging 27.6 per game.
They're a strong fan. They're a good fan.
They're a great fan base.
Absolutely, I have a great fan base.
That's why I'm anxious to see what happens if they were to get a basketball team. Because
they deserve one.
Let's give the
absolutely deserve one.
Let's give the
obviously with football, they're absolutely incredible. You have one of the better fan bases in football.
Colorado Rockies played a game at Miami.
I remember this. That's when the Rockies took 2 or 3.
You want to know what the attendance was?
It was in like 5,000 or 6,000. It was rough. They didn't even give them that high. What'd they give?
They said there were 137 people there.
Oh, they said like 5,000 paid attendance. Those fans must have been driven away. The words of Bob Uecker, driven away by that little 10-run first inning.
There is a difference with paid attendance. So, I mean, those are tickets that are bought.
Yeah, you got to count the vendors twice if you have that many people. My goodness. I remember that series. I think the Rockies got into double digits in wins.
Yeah, they got them up to 10.
Yep.
They got them up to 10. Wow.
Yeah, it's bad. The Rockies are a bad team. Bad team right now.
Look, I admire the fact that there are 2 things that my parents told me about over and over again. Actually, 3. They said not to work with you.
No.
Yeah. I said, no. He seems like a sport. They like, he can't. 2 things they drummed into my head over and over again: work ethic and loyalty.
Absolutely.
Okay, loyalty, work ethic, loyalty, all the time. So always was drummed into my head. And so how does that relate to this, the Colorado Rockies? They're considered to be a very loyal organization, and I admire that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they don't hire and fire a lot of people. I mean, it took them a lot to fire Buddy Black, and it was after the 21-0 loss they had. He has nothing to do with the record, essentially. It's like Derek Shelton didn't have much to do with the record of the Pirates. I mean, look when Casey Stengel managed the Mets. He won 10 World Series with the Yankees. He managed the Mets.
Forget about it.
They won 40 games.
Yep.
Right? If you don't have any talent, you're not going to win.
It doesn't matter who you are. I agree.
All right? Well, the Rockies don't have a lot of talent. They've made a lot of mistakes over the years in judgment on talent. And they have a beautiful ballpark, a great fan base.
Absolutely.
They have a lot of things going for them. But I think they've only made the playoffs 4 times in their history.
Definitely were there in the year they went to the World Series. Lost to the Red Sox in 07.
2007.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were in that one-game playoff the one year. That's at least twice.
That was with Arizona.
Yeah.
I think they've been in 4 times, which is not a lot considering that they began as a franchise in, 1993?
Yeah. The same year the Marlins.
Same year as the Marlins. The Marlins have won twice.
Yeah, 2 World Series. Yeah.
Right, and the fan base of the Marlins is exponentially different than the fan base of the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
But
ownership, I would even argue, is they're exponentially different. Not now, it was.
Oh, right. Yeah. But it's... So I want to see them succeed because they are a loyal organization. At the same time, people are saying that that's one of the problems that they have is that they are a loyal organization. Like, okay. It's like, now, I don't want to see that because I am a deep believer in loyalty, which I think I've proven over and over again during my career. But yeah, it is said to be one of their issues. Like, okay, but golly, that's a tough ass to go out.
Yeah,
and it's like, remember they signed Chris Bryant, that huge contract,
massive deal. Yeah,
and that never worked out.
Never worked out.
Like,
McMahon's obviously not a bad player, but you also have players that didn't work in 5 places, so it's probably telling you they're probably not going to work. And Mickey Moniak is that guy. Number 1 pick, he's there.
Yeah, well, the baseball draft's coming up at the All-Star game, and that's the next part. To me, in the first round of the baseball draft, I want to draft college guys.
Yeah.
I do not want to draft high school guys in the first round.
Sure.
Because there have been too many guys that have been high school picks. Then now what, do you got to wait 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
It's not often they're ready.
And in all likelihood, because he was the first overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's not often they're ready. It really isn't.
I'd rather draft college guys who I can find out within 3 years whether I've made the right choice or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or in Skeen's case, it was a season and a half?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Not even a season and a half. But you found out quickly.
Yeah. And Harper obviously played JUCO, so he is not in the high school category.
Right, no, right.
And that is, yes, and that's, aside from Derek, obviously not first overall, but Derek Jeter, I think, is one that sticks out. That is the exception. Griffey's another one. But and Griffey, obviously, the heritage is there with his father.
Right, but it's a long time ago. Recent drafts.
Because
I think college baseball has been able to get so much better that I think because it is a better product now than it was 20 years ago, that you're going to have, I think, a better chance of getting a guy to the majors sooner. Now, once you get to other rounds, subsequent rounds, draft all the high school guys you want. But my strong recommendation would always be, hey, draft a college guy in the first round, like the best college guy. Get the best college guy you can get, and then go from there. That's how I view it. As for the NBA draft, the NBA draft, to me, you know what one of the keys is? Don't outthink yourself.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah. I'm going to be smarter and cleverer than anybody else. I'm going to pick somebody that people don't realize it because we're really great judges of talent. I'm like going, don't outsmart yourself. Just pick. No,
pick what you see is in front of you. I think that's the advantage the NFL has over the NBA. Everything is in front of you. There's not international talent that you're looking at and saying, wow, can this guy pan out? That's the problem, I think. And take nothing away from the international game. It has helped the game in so many ways, and it's made it better. There's not a shadow of a doubt on that. But having said that, you're looking for the next Luka too many times when you're drafting in the NBA.
Yeah.
And instead you're swinging and missing, and you could have taken a guy like a Zach Edey that it was ready and could have helped you.
And by the way, Edey's going to miss half the season coming up. He just had.
This is going to be.
Oh, by the way, Edey also had a little speeding incident too. Going to Lafayette, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. By the way, the heat wave. We got one more day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it'll finally break off
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. I know that you're back tomorrow. Oh, it should be great.
Should be a blast. Absolutely. We will lose less than $3.6 million.
May not be that much to lose.
That's right.
You know what? That's the motto of this show. We have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Refuse to lose because we have nothing to lose.
We have nothing to lose.